We're in the time of year where best of lists are coming thick and fast. And oh boy, do I have a banger of a list for you today. I'm so excited to talk about these lists. It's one of my favorite times of year. And if you're new, then know that I'm Shelly. I love a list. I am addicted to a list. And end of the year lists are some of my favorite. I feel like we get a good snapshot, a good roundup, a good vibe for the year. So if you're new and not yet subscribed, I would encourage you to subscribe, maybe stick around. But without any further rambling on, let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. I know for sure that Amazon has a number one book, but I don't know if the rest are in any kind of order. But in case they are, then I'm going to start with the bottom book, the number 20, and work my way up. So number 20 is a biography of James Baldwin, the wonderful, fierce, and passionate writer. And it's called Baldwin, A Love Story by Nicholas Boggs. This is, it says, a magnetic biography of a charismatic, resolutely human, and talented writer, organized around four pivotal relationships: a mentor, lover, collaborator, and fellow writer. So this is a deeply intimate look at Baldwin. I think that looking at Baldwin through four different relationships is a smart move and definitely intriguing for Baldwin fans out there to conceive of him from, I don't know, these very different perspectives and in the way these people related with Baldwin. So I'm very excited to see this book on the list. A name I recognize, Catherine Chidgey. Chidgey's book, Remote Sympathy, was longlisted for the Women's Prize a few years back. That book was a historical fiction book set during World War II, I believe. Now, her new book, the one that makes the list at number 19, is The Book of Guilt. This is playing with the World War II setting, but doing something slightly different. It is an alternate world where nobody won World War II. Three brothers are the only boys left in an orphanage whose dark secret is the reason for their existence and the key to their survival. Okay, so I think that this is a dystopian thriller, so if you're into that kind of thing, this might be for you. Another author that I became very interested in, and I'll talk about it in just a minute. So at number 18 is Heart the Lover by Lily King. This is supposed to be it's a love triangle. It's supposed to be witty, deeply empathetic to the main character, and at least according to Amazon, she is the queen of contemporary fiction, or at least one of them. So I found out about Lily King because Olive at a Book Olive has been reading her work for years. And from what I know about this book, I think it is both a prequel and a sequel to an earlier work by King and has recognizable characters from that previous work. And Olive did such a great job. If I remember, I will leave her review linked down below. She did such a great job diving into whether you can start with Heart the Lover, or if you ought to, or if it would be wise, to start with the previous work for which Heart the Lover is sort of, navigating around time with, is paired with. So, and I got from Olive's video, though I would go and watch her actual review to get her actual take on it. But I got the sense that I personally wanted to read the earlier work first and then get to Heart the Lover. So that is my sort of long and roundabout way of saying I'm so glad to see this on the list, though I don't think that this is where I'm personally going to start with Lily King. It's really the nonfiction writers that I'm unfamiliar with. So the next book is The Beast in the Clouds, the Roosevelt brothers' deadly quest to find the mythical giant panda. That sounds like a work of fantasy, but no. Nope, it is nonfiction. This is by Natalia Holt. And according to one of the editors at Amazon, they said this heart-thumping adventure will elevate your pulse for all of its brisk 288 pages, full of larger-than-life swagger, surprising self-awareness, and satisfying twists. Okay, but what is it actually about? You can't make this stuff up. Okay, you cannot make this stuff up. This is the true story of Theodore Roosevelt's sons and their 1929 Himalayan expedition to prove the existence of a panda bear to the Western world. So, and then, it talks about, the mountains and what it would be like to be traveling in the 1920s and this journey. So they were attacked by robbers, overcome by sickness and disease, lost all their food and mountain supplies, and so on. It sounds like a wild and wacky adventure that would be a really great and gripping read, which is kind of what I'm into right now. Really thrilling, twisty reads. Okay, I'm more interested in that than I had initially thought. I'm telling you, all of the fiction authors I pretty much recognize. So at number 16, it's S.A. Cosby. And the editor even writes with this central question that is very telling, and it's who writes morally gray men with their backs against the wall better than S.A. Cosby? So what I know is that Cosby writes gripping thrillers that are very gritty and quite violent. So, I'm talking about like being into reads, like being into gritty reads. And now I'm like, actually, this might fit the bill. I've not yet read S.A. Cosby. I'm not exactly sure if he's for me because I'm kind of a wimp when it comes to violence. And I heard just as it is thrilling, it is also very violent. Number 15 is a memoir, Next of Kin by Gabrielle Hamilton. This is going to be, Gabrielle Hamilton is a chef, and she's written a previous book, which is entitled Blood, Bones, and Butter. And that is supposed to be both raw and darkly humorous, which sounds like it's her signature style because it's in this memoir as well. So it sounds like she is an award-winning chef and a best-selling author, and yet she is estranged from her family. And this is the roots of her family. She was the youngest of 5 children and took pride in her unsentimental, idiosyncratic family. She idolized her parents' charisma and nonconformity, and she worshipped her siblings' mischievousness and flair. Hers was a family with no fondness for the humdrum. And then there is a series of loss, of grief, of sadness, and that is what this story is about. It is about the grief that Hamilton goes through as her family hits some really, really tough times. We go from something quite heavy and sad to this book that sounds quite funny. And it is Cursed Daughters by Oinnikin Braithwaite. This is a young woman must shake off the family curse and the widely held belief that she is the reincarnation of a dead cousin. It is a family saga set in Nigeria. It's supposed to be really funny with a great perspective, full of love and female rivalry and superstition. So if that is your thing, you may really, really like this. Another really well-known author, and it's R.F. Kuang's Catabasis. So Kuang does these literary fantasies, and, they're very hyped. They're very well-known, very well talked about, and I have yet to read Kuang, so it's one of those kind of easy passes for me. However, if you were wondering or on the fence about, Catabasis, oh my gosh, don't come for me, y'all, please. Catabasis, then, just know that it is approved by Amazon's editors. A nonfiction writer that I recognize, so yay me. So this is Paper Girl by Beth Macy. The subtitle is A Memoir of Home and Family in a Fractured America. Beth Macy wrote Dope Sick, which was widely read, though not by me. It's one of those books that I am going to get to eventually. And this is her newest book, which is about partly about her childhood. So Beth Macy grew up in Ohio in a small town that was not as sweet and kindly as something like Mayberry, on the Andy Griffith Show, would seem to signal. Instead, her father was known as the town drunk, and they didn't have a lot of money. So she ended up going to school on a Pell Grant. I think that's what it was, a Pell Grant, and she had a career in journalism. Anyways, her mother dies in 2020. So there's this 40-year gap from when she left and when she ends up going back to her hometown. And at this point, she's trying to figure out what has happened to the town in those ensuing years. And as I myself have a special and complicated relationship with place, it sounds like an intriguing memoir, one that is very thought-provoking. So anyways, that really kind of shot to the top of my mind on this list. Number 11 is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. So according to the little write-up, it says perfect for fans of Where the Crawdads Sing and The Paper Palace, because it's a genre-crossing story, a family drama, a love, a mystery with twists, shocking twists. I'm like, I'm hugely not a fan of Where the Crawdads Sings. So sometimes I'm like, oh, you didn't get me interested in it. You got me like completely uninterested in it. So I'm going to move on from that. Another book that got a ton of buzz because it was honored by the Booker this year, and it is The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny by Karen Desai. I read the first little part of this book, and I think I was just in a place in my life where I wasn't ready for a big chunky read, and so I ended up putting it aside, even though I quite liked what I had read from it. But yeah, this makes the list, and apparently it's like, we see Sonia and Sunny, and a lot of people in their reviews said, you see these characters and they're going along in parallel lives, and you wonder if they will ever intersect. Are these truly parallel lines, or are they slightly turned inward to be intersecting eventually? And it's like 40 years of a love story in the making, like just missing each other, would be perfect for each other. They don't quite get together, missed opportunities, things like that. And it's supposed to be just fantastic. So, yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've heard good things about it, but not great things about it, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know anybody that's like really championing this book, okay? I don't know anybody doing that. So I'll think about it. Another nonfiction book by an author I recognize, though I haven't read anything by her, Replaceable You by Mary Roach. So Mary Roach writes a lot of nonfiction books that have to do with the body. I think she did one on cadavers. She is very interested in the human body and like the way we function, but on like a very specific level. I don't know how else to explain it. Maybe this book will help you, and then pair that with my mention of cadavers, because, and I don't think that's all her work, but that's the work that I'm familiar with. And this is Mary Roach does a deep dive into replaceable body parts. So false teeth, but not just false teeth, false hearts, butt implants, and so on. And it's told with this like balance between science and humor. Actually, that sounds really good. I don't know, that there's something about that sounds really good. All right, the next book is from, like, I don't know, this is a very famous writer. What are we at? Number 8. This is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It is an exhilarating journey, masterfully capturing both the thrill of space exploration and the complexities of human connection. I've read a total of 1 Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. Oh my gosh. I read Daisy Jones and the Six, which is told in this like very interviewee format. And what's interesting is that from what I know of the 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, it's also done in that very interviewee format. It's maybe not the exact format, but it's a similar format. And I think that this is Taylor Jenkins Reid's style, which it's fine. It's just not my favorite. So I tend to like circumnavigate her books for me personally, though I know that there are some of you out there that just love her, which I'm so glad, and like please keep on loving her. But yeah, just one of those people that like I'm pretty sure she's just not for me, but it's fun to see her on a list. I'm like, oh, another person I recognize. Number 7 is Awake by Jen Hatmaker. So in the middle of the night, Jen Hatmaker woke up in the middle of the night. Jen Hatmaker said, something is not right, which is from the book Madeline. Anyways, so what she found her husband texting or like voice messaging another woman in bed next to her in the middle of the night. So I was like, and this was her husband of 26 years, voice texting his girlfriend. Y'all, So she has to rebuild her life. Jen Hatmaker does. She gets a divorce, is now a mother of 5 children, a single mother of 5 children, and has built her life on being like a motivational speaker, essentially. And now she has to like go through this thing. Past Shelley, past me, I would have been so interested in something like this because it's like juicy gossip and hope-filled and resilience. But nowadays, I'm way more interested in the Mary Roach book. But if this is your thing, know it's out there, you know? The next book is a Frida McFadden book. I don't know. I know so many people love her, but I'm just like, Frida McFadden, The Intruder. Casey is trying to hit reset on her life, moving to a remote cabin and keeping to herself. You're trying to reset your life so you move to a remote cabin by yourself? Girl, that just screams horror movie. But in a terrifying storm brings a girl with a knife, and the night seems like it will never end. All right, and then the narrative shifts between past and present. It's a psychological thriller. I don't know. She's got her fans, and for those fans, I say, that's wonderful. For me, she's just not my thing. An author I actually have read before, and it's Charlotte McConaughey. So I read Once There Were Wolves. This is Wild Dark Shore. So this is about a father and his children decide to move to a remote island in Antarctica. And one day, a mysterious woman washes ashore, and it's sort of like the story goes from there. I think that I think it's supposed to be quite metaphorical of like the waves and renewal and the washing away of the past. Maybe I'm making this up. I don't know. I think there is a tie to like the setting and the story, which I quite like. Not that, I know a lot of authors do that, but I think there is like a very poignant tie between the setting and the narrative itself. Telling secrets, uncovering secrets. It's going to definitely probably be more of a literary take on like a mysterious novel, but not quite a mystery. The book, Once There Were Wolves, was a very like unhinged woman sort of uncovering what's actually going on with a murder mystery at the center of it all. But it was definitely more of like an unhinged woman story than a murder mystery story. An author that I actually know, again, I know their work a little bit at least, and it is Ocean Vuong, who I've read his poetry collections. And every once in a while I see a book on the list and it reminds me of another book that this author wrote that I want to read. So the book I want to read is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, because I've heard such good things about that. And this is Vuong's sophomore novel. It is The Emperor of Gladness. And from what I remember, I believe it's about a young person struggling with some mental health issues and trying to like find their way out. And of course I think some of Ocean Vuong's overarching themes are that of identity, how to move through the world as a queer person, how to grapple with those feelings. I think that is also at the heart of his work, and so I wouldn't be surprised if some of those themes start shining through this work as well. A World War II book, nonfiction. This is called The Boys in the Light, an extraordinary World War II story of survival, faith, and brotherhood by Nina Wilner. So it's proof that people can be good and that hope can shine through the darkest places. It's a meditation on courage, resilience, and the heavy expectations we put on a generation. It says it reads like a novel. You know, World War II nonfiction pop up here, there, and everywhere. There's a ton that come out every year. So this is the World War II book that came out this year that at least Amazon editors think is worth reading. Number 2 is a book that I keep on hearing about from you all in the comments. And I was like, oh, I had to like go look the book up and everything. And it is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. This is part of the description. Filled with knowledge that only comes from a life fully lived, The Correspondent is a gem of a novel about the power of finding solace in literature and connection with people that we might have never met in person. It's about the hubris of youth and the wisdom of old age and the mistakes and acts of kindness that occur during a lifetime. That sounds so good, but I've heard honestly such good things about it, and it's a slim little work. It's 291 pages, and of the books I've talked about, this one also sounds really, really interesting. The number 1 book is, drumroll please, Buckeye by Patrick Ryan. So this is about one town, 2 families, and a secret that changes everything. More specifically, though, it is about a small town in Ohio and a stolen moment of passion that sparked an exuberant aftermath in the Allied victory in Europe. It binds Cal Jenkins, a man wounded not in war, but by his inability to serve in it, and Margaret Salt, the woman trying to obscure her past. Ooh, it sounds like Cal's wife Becky has a spiritual gift. She is a seer. She's a seer who can conjure the death, who can conjure the death, helping families connect with who can conjure the dead. That's the right pronunciation. Helping families connect with those they lost. And then Margot's husband Felix has been serving in the Navy cargo ship out of harm's way until a telegraph suggests that the unthinkable might have happened. So it's a historical fiction, a little bit chunky because it's 450 pages, and a gripping story about, it sounds like couples, 2 families, I guess. All right, that's it. Number 1, wow, that was good. Yeah, that was a great list. Well, I am going to leave the list link down below, leave the books link down below if I remember. Yeah, just, I just want to share it all with you and give you, what does Olive always say? Clicking convenience. Leave all the links there for your clicking convenience. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. I appreciate you immensely. Let me know what you thought of the list down below, please. And I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye.